Hello, this is Steve, Dichroic Glass Man. I'm going to run through a couple glass types here to get people familiar with the nomenclature, the wordage that describe the coefficiencies of glass. And this is the melting points of glass. Currently, there's approximately 5 major coefficiencies right now in the industry. And it would do us some good to talk about which one's the hardest and the softest and kind of make sense out of it. The lower the number, the harder the glass. There is no zero. And the only glass I know of that's harder than borosilicate is crystal. And it's only 2 points, so it's a coefficiency 31 or thereabouts. What can you do with boral then if you can't melt it? Well, to a degree you can melt it. You can slump it. And it makes a beautiful crinkle finish on it. It's really fun stuff, but there's not much you can do with it. You can't take it to a full temperature because it takes insane heat. That's why these guys are making marbles and sculptures and pipes and just beautiful things out of borosilicate. It's a very, very, very hard glass. This is made by Robert Stephan, all cyan, by the way, from his Glassworks. He also made this. This is borosilicate. This is cold working. There's no heat here, folks. Other than making the initial clear glass, Robert batches his own, but for the most part, you could get this in crystal. And the people that are utilizing this in the sculptural dimensional stuff, you've seen that on the internet. So borosilicate has some fun stuff. It's what I like to utilize in my dimensional structures that I'm going to be getting more heavily into, where one side reflects to the other colorfully because of the dichro. The next coefficiency is 8284. What's that, you might ask? Regular window glass. Your sliding glass doors are window glass, of course, but those are tempered. You can't use that. You can't melt it, and you can't cut it, or else it'll pop. That's window glass, float glass, as this glass that I use in my dichroic bevel and jewel program has a lot of more uses. And more float glass is going to come online as being a go-to because you use window glass as your base glass. Now, the only people I know in the 96 game, or the coefficiency 8284 float game, is Yoga Haney, and they've got a line. But other than that, and Armstrong did some, there's not a lot of accessories in order to make a cabochon out of. You got to be pretty darn clever because there's one company with stringers, there's one company with frit. That's not much in terms of diversity. As a lot of people have been following my bevel and jewel program, here's a hummingbird made utilizing real dichroic glass. It's a lamination process exactly like this. It's cold working, no heat. So this is the window glass category. Next softer glass, numbers are going upwards, is coefficiency 90. Bullseye, Wismach, I hear Kokomo's making a 90. And you've got some other players in there. I can't keep track of who's doing what anymore. But the typical 90, nice soft glass to work with. And I make lots of cabochons using the 90. Love it. Love working with it. Lots of diversity and lots of gimmicks out there. You've got dichro slide, you've got powders, you got frits, you got stringers of all kinds and noodles. And there's a world of opportunity. But it's a softer glass, much softer, 3 times more softer, coefficiency 3390. Now we're getting softer even yet, and we're using that as System 96. And you've seen that with Spectrum pretty much leading the charge, and then Ouroboros coming in there. Spectrum and the Ouroboros 96 provide a huge palette of accessories in the industry, probably neck to neck with 90. So even though this is 96 and these are 90, there's really, if it wasn't that I knew my base glass, I couldn't tell them apart. They're that close. Vibrancy, just as good. from the 96 to the 90. Now your softest glass is 104 Moretti. That's your softest. So you go from Boro being your hardest at 33 to 104. And this gap in between is where some of this other variety comes in. Dichroic is not a glass, folks. It's a coating. It can virtually be put on surfaces. For instance, if you sent in a punch bowl and 8 glasses to coatings by Sandberg, and if it can fit in their 19-inch chamber, the chamber that accommodates a 19-inch object, because that's how big these sheets come, you can have your glasses coated with dichroic, and you probably didn't even know that. In fact, many companies are sending large crystal specimens as big as this to CBS, and they're coating it in dichro. Who knew? So dichro is not a glass. It's kind of like a sugar. And since glass is an excellent medium to hold and retain heat and pressure and vacuum, it's a great medium to put dichro on. But dichro doesn't have a judgment. It doesn't care what it's annealed to. It will take all this, as you can see, all examples of dichroic glass. Dichro just loves to be annealed and adhered to other forms of glass. So when you're explaining dichroic glass to folks, you want to kind of keep in mind these COEs, because the COE is going to determine what you're going to do with it. You can fuse this. Not sure about this. A lot of people are doing beadwork out of this. Down at this end of the spectrum, a lot of fusing is being done, slumping in the bathtub industry sinks. A lot of it is coming on board as in float glass. How interesting. And then we all know about the pipes and other things, accessories, amazing sculptures, octopuses, and things like that. So, depending on the coefficiency, you kind of know where each glass is going to go. So I hope this helps some folks who don't really know what the number system does and what good is that and why do I need to know. Well, you sort of do, because it puts you into the conversation of where you need to be based on that coefficiency. If you got 90 and 96, you're fusing for the most part. Or slumping, of course, doing bowls and elaborate things. But you're fusing. Nonetheless, you're using a kiln. Maybe that's what I needed to say. I hope this helps some folks. And thank you for your warm comments and compliments as always. Have a great day. Bye-bye.